Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's check out LoveKami, Useless Goddess on Nintendo Switch. Now they previously released Divinity Stage, but I think this is the first game, so the games are kind of released out of order. But that's okay. I don't think we ever finished Divinity Stage. It's like so many games get released. Okay, so let's see. If I remember right, Divinity Stage suffered from performance issues, so hopefully they fixed it this time around. With this title, so we won't get too many frame drops. I know, you would think visual novels would have frame drops, but somehow it happened on the last game. Okay, message speed. I think we can do message speed just at 100. Yeah. Alright, let's go. Let's check it out, huh?
Japan 日本では古くから万物には神様が宿ると考えられてきた。どんな小さなものにも神様は存在して、世界には数えきれないほどの神様がいる。そんな様々な神様が人々の前に姿を現したのが数年前。そんな様々な神様が神様降臨と呼ばれる現象によってあまたの神様が降臨する。現世の世情に疎い神様たちは当然のごとく国内に混乱を巻き起こした。だが神様という頂上の存在が現れ、国民が混乱する中で政府は積極的に神様たちを受け入れるために行動を始め、特別法案八百万措置法を成立した。しかしそれでも混乱は収まらず、後からやってきたアマテラス大神によって制定された神様教育法によって事態は沈静化していくこととなる。今ではほとんどの神様が人々の良き隣人として生活に溶け込んでいる。しかし中には神様教育法に従わずに自由気ままに生活する神様もいた。やりたいことを自由にやり、自由に生活する一部の神様。中でも人に害をなす神様を人々は荒神と呼んだ。ほんとうるさい。バカの一つ覚えみたいに公正ってほんとくだらなくてつまらない神様。やんのかてめえ。こっちが下手に出てたらつけ上がりやがって。
The two goddesses were in the middle of a fight right in front of me. It had been a few years since the goddesses first ascended. Some of those mixed into human society have lent a helping hand, showing the way it ought to be. For goddesses, the goodwill and thoughts of humans become Sakamatama, a source of power. The goddesses who try to gather it work to help people and generally have gentle personalities. However, the two goddesses in front of me didn't seem that way in the slightest. In fact, they were the opposite. The lights in the room flickered incessantly, and what should have been a sunny day turned into a rainy one. The goddesses were fighting like kids. Wait, were they actually goddesses? The argument intensified and showed no sign of stopping. Can I really find a way to end this argument between goddesses? It's kinda late. I was on my way home, carrying the dinner I just bought from a convenience store. The world was dark around me, and there wasn't a soul in sight. Well, this is what it's like here in this town. Kanagi is an old-fashioned town. There were only a few small stores and workshops. We're part of the city, so there's lots of people, but most are older, so no one really goes out at night. The people here are generally quiet, and the town has a mellow feel. But lately, there's been one reoccurring problem troubling the area. Another blackout. These blackouts have been making the news every day lately. If they'd just been simple blackouts, there wouldn't be so much fuss. Town of constant unexplained blackouts. Just as the news headline stated, Kanagi's blackouts were pretty frequent. Several blackouts a day is enough to liven up any place. Day or night, without any pattern, not even experts could predict when they'd happen. It hasn't hit me personally yet, but all these blackouts cause a lot of problems. For those living here, the constant threat of blackout makes it impossible to relax. And the areas affected can range from a few meters to a few hundred meters, so there's no consistency at all. And it was even affecting the yen exchange rates for some industries located in the area. If only we knew what was causing it, we could do something. Whoa. What the? Suddenly, all the lights around me went out and the night went pitch black. Is this what they're talking about? A blackout? All the lights in the nearby houses and on the street were dark. Buildings in the distance were still lit up, so the only place hit was right here around me. This must be what was just on the news. It took me by surprise, being caught up in something I'd just been thinking about. Going through something like this all the time would be enough to drive someone crazy. Also, so glad I stopped by the store on the way home. If I'd gone to buy dinner any later, I'd have been stuck in the store. Huh? What the? I was so focused on the blackout that I hadn't been watching the road. I just barely missed running into someone. My body had reacted on reflex, so we both made it through unharmed. A girl? I only saw her for an instant, but it was a girl around my height. I turned around instinctively and saw the girl stumbling along unsteadily. I wonder if she's okay. Oh. The girl's body started shaking and she fell without even trying to catch herself. Hey! As if timed to her fall, the surrounding lights came back on. It looked like the blackout was over. Never mind that. I should help. When I looked back at the girl, she was slowly getting up off the ground. Huh? Just as she shouted this, the streetlights flickered violently and the just restored power flicked back off. Another blackout? And what's with that timing? The girl collapsed again. Are you okay? I unconsciously held my breath as I approached the groaning, twitching girl. Her clothes were unusual, made in a rather sexy yet traditional Japanese style. Her figure was captivating. I found it hard to keep my eyes off her. Any one of her physical traits would have set her apart from regular humans. Though I'd never seen one firsthand, I already knew what she was. A goddess? I knew there were goddesses in our world, but I'd never met one before. I'd seen divine idols perform on TV lots of times, of course. Those goddesses somehow sparkled and seemed like a dream, forever out of reach. But this goddess here was different from the ones I'd seen on screens. While her clothing exuded willfulness and independence, her expression was quite strained. Miss Goddess? Is there something the matter? Yes? What is it? Just then, the goddess's stomach growled loudly. Wait, did you actually collapse because you're hungry? The goddess nodded quickly, still lying on the ground. So it appeared she was just hungry. She kept glancing at me.
チラチラ
Despite her collapsing, it appeared she was actually fine. In fact, she'd probably be perfectly okay if I just left her like that. My eyes met hers mid-thought as she stared at me. Her gaze moved little by little downwards and towards my convenience store bag. Would you like a bit of my dinner?
マジ
It looked as if her dreams had come true. Well, I was just going to have a late dinner, but okay.
おお神をあでも全部もらうのは悪いから半分で半分でいいから
The way she made such a show of it made her seem like a regular schoolgirl. Go ahead and eat it all. I already ate something earlier, so I'll be okay.
いいの後で返してって言っても返さないよ
I won't ask for it back. Let's call it an offering, so please, do eat all you want.
やったサンキュー
The goddess jumped to her feet and stared at me with puppy eyes. And then the power came back as if it had been on a timer.
食べた
The revived goddess had eaten my late-night dinner in a flash. It was just an evening snack, so it wasn't large, but still substantial.
ありがとういやあのまま餓死するかと思ったよあんたは私の恩人だね
Yeah, well, quite a figure, huh? She was talking constantly, her demeanor totally different from before. Her clothing was revealing, and when she moved, little flashes of skin caught my eye. Maybe being able to almost but not quite show everything was some kind of divine power.
ありゃ急に黙り込んでどうした
So, you're a goddess, right?
うんそうだよあ自己紹介がまだだったね私椿あかねあかねでいいよ
My name's Sho Narumi.
ショウショウかうんいい名前だね
The goddess Akane repeated my name over and over, as if to memorize it. So, Miss Akane, why did you wait to eat anything until you collapsed on the street?
あかねでいいよ私だってショウって呼ぶからねあと敬語とか使われるとくすぐったいから敬語もなしで
Oh, really? She seemed to be a very casual goddess.
大丈夫私がいいって言うんだから問題なし
Saying this, the well-endowed goddess thrust out her chest. She sure was a cheerful goddess. Gotcha, Akane. Is that better? She already said it was, but it never hurts to check.
うん完璧
Akane flashed a satisfied smile. I couldn't help but like her easygoing nature. Indeed, just having her around was enough to make me feel good, so she was so upbeat. So why did you end up collapsing from hunger anyway, Akane?
あそれは
I mean, you ate my dinner without a second thought, so it's not like you were fasting.
それは
Really, what? She stared off into space. Finally, she opened her mouth slowly and started to speak.
お金がなかったから
Huh? I had been expecting something a bit more exotic.
えって何さそうですよ私はどうせ貧乏神様ですよだ
Akane started to pout, her shoulders slumped. She clearly didn't like my reaction. But something else was bothering me. But you're a goddess. Don't you live in a boarding house?
あるにはあると思うけど権限してから一度も行ったことありません
Akane answered, still pouting. She was putting on a show, but she seemed honest enough.
私の下宿先はどうでもいいのそれより私はショーの家に行ってみたいかな
My place? And why is that?
あーえっと
And just then, a rich growl rose from her stomach again. You're still hungry?
あうんまあそうとも言うかなねえダメ
Akane came closer and looked at me with upturned eyes. As a guy, standing next to a young beauty dressed like Akane was enough to get my pulse racing. No, I didn't say that.
あれあれショーってばちょっと顔若いけどどうしたのああもしかして私の魅力にメロメロだったりして
No, not at all.
本当かなふれふれ
She got excited and came closer, pushing her cleavage higher for me to get a better look. There was so much to see. It would tempt any red-blooded young man. Okay, okay, but I'm sort of staying in a boarding house myself too, so it's not like I've got tons of food.
いいのやった
Also, I can't just use the kitchen anytime I want, so I have to check with my landlady first. If she says no, then I'm sorry, but that's that.
ショーならちゃんと説得してくれると信じてるから大丈夫
Akane smiled at me, oblivious to the reality of the situation. Please don't get your hopes up. I took out my smartphone to get in touch with the landlady. Huh? 10% battery left. That's weird. Did I forget to charge it this morning?
あどうかしたの
Oh, no. It's just my battery's almost dead. I should still be able to make one call. Thinking about it made me nervous, though.
私が何とかしようか
Can you?
大丈夫神様にできないことなんてない多分
Probably.
そりゃそうだよ神様だって万能じゃないんだから
Come on now. Can you really help?
もちろん私は神様なんだよそれくらい余裕余裕
Of course, she herself had said that goddesses weren't omnipotent. Well then, do what you can. Just don't break it, okay? Puffing out her overflowing chest in confidence, Akane took my phone.
任せてよよしじゃあ早速てりゃ
Whoa! What the? There was an electric zap, and suddenly my battery died and the phone turned off.
あ
You messed up?
いや今日はたまたま調子が悪かったというかお腹が空いててうまくいかなかったというかで おおここがショーの住んでる家か確かにちょっと古い感じはするけどいい雰囲気
After the phone incident, I couldn't exactly get rid of the goddess, so I brought her home. She stared at the old Japanese-style houses in front of her in wonder.
お椿荘
Akane read the nameplates aloud.
私と同じ名前だおおすごい偶然これはもう運命だね
Tsubaki Apartments. That's the name of the place I'm staying in. They had remodeled an old house into apartments, and I loved its old-fashioned look. My mom's friend used to run it, but now her student daughter, an old friend, does. To me, this place is like a second home, someplace to truly relax. Sadly, I am the only tenant. Sadly, I'm the only tenant. The only other people are the landlady and her mother.
なんかいいよねなんていうか安心する
It looked like Akane liked it too. Alright, let's go inside.
はーい
I opened the door and led Akane inside.
おかえり。遅かったわね、ショー。
When I opened the door, a girl in uniform stood there with folded arms. It was like an aura was drifting about her. Hi there, Micah. It was my childhood friend and current landlady, Micah Kunugi. Oh, Kunugi. Despite her rough style, she always takes care of me in one way or another. And here she was, waiting for me.
こんな夜遅くに出て行ったかと思えば、今まで何してたの？
She was smiling, but her voice was not. Well, I got a little hungry, and so I stopped by a convenience store.
でも、こんな時間に外出するならちゃんと言ってから出てってよ。寮母なんだから、住人の安全を守る義務があるのよ。それに電話しても繋がらないし。
She'd been worrying since I, her tenant, was out so late. I'm sorry, my battery died, but thanks for worrying about me.
別に心配なんてしてないわよ。でも、次からはちゃんと教えてよね。
Micah looked away angrily. Yeah, got it.
うん。わかればいいのよ。ちょっと、ショーってば、そんなとこ立ってたら私が入れないじゃん。
Just when I thought I was clear, before I could start to explain things to Micah, Akane stuck her head in. She then wrapped her arms around my waist to boot. I wanted to enjoy the softness pressed against my back a bit, but it wasn't the time. Hey, don't grab me. I pushed Akane away.
もう、ショーってばそんなに照れなくてもいいじゃん。
Pouting a little, Akane willingly backed off.
ねえ、ショー。
Yes. Micah's voice was icy with anger, and the aura of rage was even more apparent than before.
その人、誰？
Again, she was smiling, but her voice was not. Yeah, so...
夜食を買いに行ったっていうのは、女の子を連れ込むための嘘だったわけね。
No, Akane's nothing like that to me.
へえ、あかね。ねえ、ショーが女の子を呼び捨て？ずいぶんと親しい関係なのね。
Crap. Looking at it from her eyes, yes, I was bringing a girl home. It was getting harder to insist that it was all just a misunderstanding. No, listen, there's a reasonable explanation.
ショー、早く入れてよ。
Akane tried to force her way past me, oblivious to my situation. Wait, now's not the time. Just let me explain first.
いいもん。入れてくれないなら、私にも考えがあるから。そりゃあ。
Idea? Just as I thought this, Akane ran into me. Waha! I managed not to fall, but somehow Akane got in front of me. Hold on, don't read anything into this. Micah, I just ran into her on the street.
そう、そういうことなのね。ショーはこういうエッチな格好の人がいいのね。ちょー、いきなりエッチって言われた。
I couldn't see her expression, but I'm sure Micah wasn't smiling. Micah?
うちのアパートは不純異性行為禁止よ、バカー。
After that, I was able to somehow calm her down and explain properly. She reluctantly listened to me and accepted the truth.
それじゃあ、倒れてた神様に夜食をあげたらついてきちゃったってこと？
Micah asked again as we walked down the hall. Akane followed behind and marveled at the interior. Yes, that's exactly what happened. And my battery died, so I couldn't call. Sorry.
それなら仕方ないかな。うん。さっきは怒ってごめんね。
She apologized for the one-sided fight. No, I shouldn't have gone out without saying anything. We're both in the wrong.
そうだね。それで、私は神様にご飯を作ればいいの？っていうか、 私が作っても大丈夫なの？
I understood what she meant. She was wondering if the goddess had some special religious thing with food. I think it's okay. She doesn't seem to mind, and I gave her some convenience store food.
そうそう、ショーからもらったご飯美味しかったよ。うん、わかった。神様の頼みだし、作ってみるわ。
After Micah left, looking nervous, Akane and I went into the living room. Staring at the spectacle in front of me, I was so stunned that I almost forgot to eat.
すごい、どれもすごい美味しい。
The dishes covered the table disappeared one by one. Was I dreaming? This Akane, what kind of stomach did she have?
マイカの料理最高。これはもうあれだね。やばいね。
Even as she spoke, Akane never took her eyes off the food.
うわ、神様に褒められちゃった。
Micah seemed surprised by this. To be honest, though, as a house mother for a few years, she had become a great cook.
お口にあったみたいでよかったです。うんうん。マイカの料理は最高だよ。
And as she talked, the food continued to flow into her mouth.
あ、そうだ。マイカも私のことアカネって呼んでよ。神様って言ったら誰かわからないし、さん付けされるのもくすぐったいからさ。そう？まあ私としてもこっちの方が話しやすいけど、本当にいいの
She was already getting used to it. Micah's great at getting people along with, or Micah's great at getting along with people.
そんな細かいこと私は気にしないって。というわけで、はい、おかわり。まだ食べるのね。
Micah's face looked slightly strained as she refilled the bowl with rice.
あー、食べた食べた。もうお腹いっぱい。
You ate so much you should burst. There was a mountain of spotless plates in front of her. Where did she put all that in that tiny little body? So, anyway, what's next, Akane?
もう少しだけ休んでから考えようかな。
Akane answered in a sleepy voice. She was sprawled out on the floor like she'd exhausted herself eating.
まるで自分の家みたいにくつろいでるわね。だって居心地いいし。
Akane said, lying limp on the floor. I was surprised at how fast she could relax in a stranger's home.
そういえばさ、
The prone Akane looked sluggishly up at Micah.
ご飯食べてる時も気になってたけど、マイカってショーの彼女なの？
Micah was struck speechless, her face turning beet red.
いやいや、違う。そんなんじゃないわよ。いきなり何言ってるのよ。だって一緒に暮らしてるし、こんな美味しい料理が作れるんじゃん。そういうの人の世界じゃ恋人って言うんじゃないの？そういう人もいるけど、私とショーは幼なじみ、大家と住人の関係。それ以上でもそれ以下でもないわよ。でもそこまで必死に否定すると余計に怪しいな。怪しくないわよ。違うんだからね。
That's right, we're just old friends. It's not like you think at all.
そんなはっきり言わなくてもいいじゃない。ショーのバカ。やっぱり仲良さそう。私お皿洗ってくるから。
Micah stood up like she wanted to escape and started washing dishes with her back to us. I went back to my room to charge my phone, and on the way back, I looked up at the night sky. What a nice night. The constellation Pegasus filled the autumn sky. The fall insects played their cool music, announcing the changing season. She can't go home at this hour. Akane might be a goddess, but she's still a girl. You couldn't say it's entirely safe. Maybe she could stay the night. Thinking this, I turned my gaze back towards the courtyard. Huh? The familiar courtyard hosted an unfamiliar figure. It was a girl, bathed in brilliant moonlight. Her hair, black as the night, sparkled in the light of the moon and the stars. Dressed like a shrine maiden, her slender body and elegant face were like a painting. You're a goddess, aren't you? I could tell at a glance. This girl was different from Akane. She had an entrancing, divine beauty that pulled me in. She was much more like the goddesses I'd seen on TV. Hearing my murmur, the girl turned her eyes to me. Alright, why don't we stop it there. This is audap. You've been watching LoveKami Useless Goddess on Nintendo Switch. Well, I can already tell that this game runs much better than the previous release, which was LoveKami, what was it, Idol something? I can't remember. Anyway, so this game is, I think, the first game in this series, LoveKami Useless Goddess, and oddly enough, I think like the third game was the game that got released first, which we went through at least a little bit. Obviously this game runs quite a bit better, but I think it's also probably because it's not quite as sophisticated with the animation and more characters being on the screen. Of course, it's still early, so maybe we'll see performance drops like we did with Goddess Stage. Oh, no, I can't remember the name of the other game. But yeah, it's interesting. It's got that quirky Japanese comedy. I think it's pretty well done. This game seems to look a little bit better than the sequel or the third game as well. Sorry, Divinity Stage, that's the one. It doesn't seem quite as blurry, so it seems like it's running at a higher resolution. I'm not really sure why that is, or maybe they went and did some cleanup with the engine. But it seems like this is a little bit better of an experience. And it's kind of nice to be able to get the first game and sort of get the background rather than jumping into the third game. I'm not really sure why they made that decision. A strange one. Anyway, yeah, check it out if you like visual novels, if you like these, slice of life Japanese comedies. I like them, so we'll play through at least a little bit as time goes on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.